Other than gameplay, the most judged aspect of video games are graphics. For this video, I thought it'd be fun to focus on graphics a little bit. What we're going to look at today is old games that still look great today. It's a just for fun sort of list, but I thought that there should be at least a bit of criteria here. When I say old, I mean that this list won't have anything newer than 10 years old, and you don't have to look into the word good too much. And the whole point is just to appreciate games and promote the idea of looking at things in different ways. So don't take it too seriously and enjoy the video. Grand Theft Auto 2. This is the first Grand Theft Auto game I've ever played when it first came out in '99. I had a lot of fun with it. It only took 2 years before the series made a transition to 3D. While most people at the time probably would consider GTA 3 as an improvement in most ways, looking at it today, I can't help but feel that GTA 2 has held up remarkably well. While GTA 3 and, to some extent, Vice City and even San Andreas can look a bit rough, I guess. GTA 2's artistic vision looks to have remained intact. There's a sort of moody comic book style look going on. I think the lighting is very clever and is a big reason for its good looks. The version I'm familiar with, the PC version, has 2 modes, noon and dusk. Dusk looks best in my opinion. The lighting effects really help make the game look less flat. As far as I understand, the PlayStation version is stuck at noon and the Dreamcast game is Eternally Dusk. That's a good name for a black metal band. Eternal Dusk. It's interesting how the graphical elements are put together. The environments are clearly 3D, but things like cars and people are sprites. I think it works very well. Dead or Alive. Ah yes, good old Dead or Alive. This series is perhaps most known for very specific graphical triumphs, but we won't dive into those today. Specifically, I want to talk about Dead or Alive 3 and Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate, which are original Xbox games. These games were released 2001 and 2004 respectively. It may sound confusing, but Dead or Alive Ultimate came out later and is a compilation of 2 games, the original Sega Saturn version of DOA and a remake of DOA 2 using the same engine as DOA 3. Since DOA 2 and 3 for the Xbox used the same engine, I might as well mention both. They're really just good-looking games. They run at a smooth 60 frames per second, and something that impressed me at the time was the snow physics. Before that, I don't think I've ever seen a game with destructive snow. I'm not sure if that's the right term to use there. The other type of environments look pretty good as well, but it's the snow that for some reason really stands out for me after all these years. What's interesting is that DOA games haven't had this kind of snow since the Xbox games. As far as I can see, there's no snow stage in DOA 4, and while DOA 5 does, it's not the same at all. I mean, look at it, it's just flat. Perhaps the developers allocated system resources to a different kind of physics system. Now that I think about it, Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball can by extension be included on this list as well. And yes, believe it or not, the game did get a decent critical reception. Commandos. And now it's time to talk about the Commandos games, and I'm including all 3. I say all 3 because in the alternate timeline I pretend to live in, Strike Force never existed. Not only are these games some of my favorites of all time, I think they still look really nice. The third game looks best, but the second is a pretty close second, but I like Commandos 2 the best overall because of the gameplay. I'm pretty sure the first game was all 2D, but the second and third were a mixture of 2D and 3D elements. The outdoor environments are 2-dimensional images, but the characters, some of the objects and interiors are 3D. I think the various levels are like works of art. They're really detailed and have a digital, really high-resolution pixel art look to them. You know all those terrible-looking games for the CDI or other similar failed consoles of that era? I think this is the sort of look they were going for, but where those failed, Commandos succeeded. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. This channel is no stranger to Zelda games, so why not talk about them a bit more? I remember the criticism of Wind Waker when it first came out in 2003. Back when Tech TV was still on the air, one of the review shows mentioned how controversial of a move this cel-shaded look was for Nintendo. These days, people don't really sweat it and know that Zelda games change their look every now and then, but back then that was a widely discussed topic. 1.5 decades later, and the game's look has held up better than something like Twilight Princess. But it makes sense. Twilight Princess went the realistic route, which always is limited by hardware. Wind Waker looks like a cartoon that you're playing in real time. It may not be the art style that everyone prefers, but it sure nails the look. I have the same opinion of the Wii U HD remasters. Twilight Princess looks great, but you could obviously make the game look better with more detailed everything. But that's just how realistic styles work. Wind Waker just looks good because the art style doesn't require that much graphical power to get right. Ouka Me. Of course, this is going to be on the list. Ouka Me was released in 2006 for the PlayStation 2. Like Wind Waker, it's the art style which helps this game look great all these years later. Testimony to that are the HD remasters, which only add in more resolution and a widescreen aspect ratio. Everything else, like textures, are still the same as the original PS2 game. They didn't even fix the pop-in issues, but let's not get into that. The point is that most people would be hard-pressed to call this game ugly. Basically, any screenshot would result in a beautiful Japanese watercolor painting. The nice thing about very stylized games is that the developers can get away with many artistic liberties. For example, many of the trees are just sprites that look the same from every angle, but somehow it looks okay. Obviously, Clover Studio really put a lot of time and effort into making the game look amazing, while dealing with the fact that the hardware it's running on is a PS2. Gran Turismo 4 and PSP. Since we're talking about the PS2, I think it would be hard not to mention Gran Turismo 4. And while we're at it, let's discuss Gran Turismo for the PSP as well. But first, GT4. Gran Turismo 4 is one of the first PS2 games I ever owned. Compared to modern games, things like textures and polygon count are clearly lacking, but they got the overall look right. Not to mention 1080i at 60 FPS on a PS2 is pretty good. GT4 is a great example of a realistic looking game that's aged relatively well. I think the realistic color palette has contributed well to the game's look. A lot of games that go for a more realistic style sometimes can overdo it with the colors, but that's not what's going on here. If you blur your eyes a little or don't wear glasses when you should, the game looks pretty much spot on. And also when you start playing, a lot of the lackluster environmental details often go unnoticed. I will say that the lack of interiors and a real cockpit camera was pretty disappointing even back in the day. Now, Gran Turismo for the PSP is quite impressive for many of the same reasons. Perhaps even more so considering, well, it's a PSP game, and it runs at 60 FPS. It's not the most fully featured game ever, but hey, it's just the graphics we're focusing on here. Valkyria Chronicles. It's been 10 years between Valkyria Chronicles 1 and 4, and yet the first game looks amazing even today. Though some people like to mention that the fourth game basically looks like the first one, which I think actually is mostly down to the art style. There's a soft, pleasant look which gives everything a slightly fairy tale sort of look. The book menu reinforces that idea a little bit. Are you reading through a journal or is it a storybook? I don't think there's much more to say. I already talked about Valkyria Chronicles a few times. So you can always watch my review of Valkyria Chronicles 1 or 4 because apparently nobody watched that. And yeah, just look at that in more detail. Cel-shaded games are such a risk for developers. A lot of times they get dismissed, except maybe for Wind Waker, because they're not realistic, yet they hold up so well over time. Like Ouka Me, Valkyria Chronicles was a major flop despite all the positive praise. Apparently, the same thing is happening with Valkyria Chronicles 4 right now. There is a recent example, though, of a cel-shaded game that is getting a lot of attention as well as a lot of sales, and that is the new Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu games. They're quite simplistic in their look, and it's cel-shaded, but it looks really good too, so I think those will hold up well over time. Anyway, I think this is a good place to end. Let's not make this video too long. There are still some other games I want to highlight, but we'll talk about those another time. Obviously, this isn't a comprehensive list, but I'd like to hear what you guys think. I also want to hear what other games not on this list you think still hold up visually today. Like always, hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video, subscribe for more videos. If you like this, I'm sure you're going to enjoy some of the other videos I've made. Remember, there's also the second channel which has a very random selection of videos, stream archives, a video on how to make videos, and some random gameplay stuff here and there. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.